Yeah, this video is gonna be fucking torture. I guess I do have to at least be fair and preface it. One, I'm going to be basing this on the manga, not the light novel. I'm not reading all that, okay? I'm making that very clear from the get-go. This is based on the manga. And secondly, this is going to be a much longer video as I plan to do a summary and also list the differences while we're going, okay? Is that good?
Hold on. Let's get this shit. Let's get this shit. Let's get this shit. Let's hold on. Let's get this shit. Let's get this shit. Let's get this shit. Let's hold on. Let's get this shit. Let's get this shit. Let's get this shit. Let's hold on. Let's get this shit. Let's get this shit. Let's get this shit. Let's.
I know what sex is.
I'm going to tell you.
The first difference you're actually going to notice here is that Kazuma's in a standard outfit as opposed to his suit. Because remember, when they went to meet up with Iris, he was still in his suit, but I guess they changed it later, and now he's back to his standard outfit? And now we can actually commence with the summary. It pretty much starts with Claire ready to tell Iris that Kazuma is allowed to stay in the castle. This is when she stumbles into Kazuma telling Iris one of his stories. Claire pretty much has to come step in, tell him to stop talking about these stories, and then yeah, it's just some really fun shenanigans there. Alright, so let's actually note the differences here. The first one is that in the manga, since this technically takes place right after Iris pretty much takes Kazuma there, there's supposed to be some scenes where he would get introduced. That actually gets moved to later on in the episode, right after the intro. So that's the first one. The second change here for this moment here is some added dialogue here. The two I'm gonna note here is in particular Iris apologizing and Kazuma noting how she listens to people in the castle. And finally, of course, is the removal of some dialogue.
We do not care.
Oh god, I'm gonna be here a while. Holy shit. We pretty much go back to just a little earlier when Kazuma's being welcomed by the kingdom. And this is where all the stuff I mentioned earlier, where he pretty much gets introduced to the castle, nothing too crazy. And well, in terms of actual major differences here, the only one I can really see here is a name change. Instead of Lane in the manga, it's now been changed to Rain. After that, basically, Kazuma and Rain basically discuss Iris. He isn't usually like this, so to pretty much just deal with it. And he agrees, pretty much willing to tell her more stories. That's the second step.
You see a bunch of us in black cloaks running towards you. See me in a gold cloak, tall, muscular, evil-ass mother.
After that, we actually cut back, in particular, to Kazuma telling more stories while Claire just looks absolutely defeated. While Iris is actually pondering on why students are running shops on no wages, there's some additional stuff here. Mostly some internal dialogue Kazuma is having. He's being bored out of his fucking mind, but the princess is seemingly jealous. And also, some dialogue is skipped.
My dumbass realizing there's redundancies, so I have to skip over.
Iris tells Kazuma it would be best to go back home. We have some, of course, additional dialogue of Kazuma thinking his allies would be concerned for him if he didn't go back. And then afterwards, Iris would pretty much recollect how Kazuma reminds her of her big brother. This wheezes the Kazuma. And it's pretty much the sole reason he decides to try and stay in the castle more. Okay, that's the first. Alright, so the next up is pretty much next morning we are showcased Kazuma in bed. Naked this time. Which he wasn't really naked in the original. He still had his robe on in the manga.
He still has the robe. He puts it on later. It's just that we're showing him naked before that. Okay, cool.
And also, there's actually an additional scene of this stone sculpture, which is pretty anime original, but I feel like that should be obvious. We actually have a resequencing, because initially, this is when basically Iris would come up to him and basically get to see, how do I put this in the most delicate way possible?
No!
Yeah, I think that's the most delicate way I could have really said that. But instead, he calls for his butler, Heidel, and also messes a bit with Mary. And then, after all that is when Iris comes in and, well, we get the morning surprise. After all that, another addition is more or less this new scene. Technically, it's more dialogue that's already used a little later, but is now being repurposed. In essence, they walk out of the room and Iris is pretty much just trying to quickly walk away. And Kazuma's pretty much trying to justify himself, saying he's not a pervert and all. But then he trips, and Iris just runs away. And then there's some additional dialogue, internal dialogue, where he says that Iris basically stopped calling him Big Brother after that. Next section. We got some new antics. More or less after that little dialogue I mentioned earlier, it's pretty much adding that Kazuma's playing hide and seek, playing tag, and also disrupting Iris' classes, which technically that last one was already in the manga, but yeah, him specifically mentioning that is pretty much anime original. And then finally, after all that, we actually get to the chess! Yes! I love chess! But before that, there's some internal dialogue of Kazuma noting how Iris seems quite reserved, matching with what Rain told him earlier, and also seeming to know how Iris seems to be basically knowing that people are at the mercy of her desires. And also some additional dialogue of them preparing to play the game. That's pretty much what the chess shenanigans would pretty much happen, and really there isn't any notable difference. So, we do not care. Let's skip to actually the bamboo copter at night.
No, we're fucking not. I'm sorry, this video's taking so long as is, bro.
So let's actually get to the next change here, which pretty much is some added dialogue of Kazuma asking Iris to head out with him and play with the bamboo copters next time.
Ever get that feeling of deja vu?
Alright, so the next up is pretty much next morning we are showcase Kazuma in bed. Wait, didn't we do this already? Ever get that feeling of deja vu? Right, let's just skip ahead, shall we? He decides he wants to make Mary's job a living hell, and he's about to do that. And then the trio show up. Yay! The notable thing here is some additional dialogue from Aqua, more or less saying how it's unfair he gets to live in the castle after they all defeated the demon's generals together. Iris comes in to pretty much, I guess, check up on Kazuma, and then sees everybody here. And, well, Darkness tries to convince Iris to let Kazuma go home. The original part here is actually Kazuma internally saying, "Oh, don't let them take me back, please." Iris gives in. And I guess he now clones himself, as he's pretty much using his clone to be like, "Come on, man, put up more of a fight." She does, however, allow them to stay for the evening banquet. But just before that, Kazuma faints. I guess this doesn't please the Kazuma.
Okay, here we go. Remove dialogue. I don't know what this refers to, but I'm just rolling with the punches. Aqua doing tricks at the banquet while Kazuma and Iris are talking is added. Some small added dialogue from Claire wanting to spar with Darkness. This is very short, cool, thanks. Kazuma dialogue added. Great, this is awesome, thank you. Nobleman cheering him on is added. There was some cheering, fucking whatever. And finally, Aqua Magma got to eat more foods added. There we go.